The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the individuals participating in the show. All persons described or mentioned in the podcast should be considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. This podcast contains subject matter such as violence and graphic descriptions along with adult language, which may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
On June 4th, 2010, in Portland, Oregon, a 7-year-old boy is dropped off at... You fucking son of a bitch. Stop it! I don't want to lock you in the fucking bathroom, you little shit. Anyway, let me start again. On June 4th, 2010, at an elementary school in Portland, Oregon, a 7-year-old is dropped off in the morning to attend the science fair. He's last seen walking to his class. Fuck, hold on, let me redo that. Okay. On June 4th, 2010, in Portland, Oregon, a 7-year-old boy is dropped off at his elementary school to attend his science fair. He then walks to his class, yet he is never seen again. Though the police have one strong suspect, no charges has ever been filed. And the boy is still missing to this day. You're listening to the Mysterious Brews podcast, and tonight we bring you the case of Kyron Horman.
It has been nearly 13 years since Kyron Horman disappeared.
His mom has not given up her search since the then 7-year-old went missing from his elementary school in Portland. Fox 12's Drew Marine sat down with Desiree Young this evening, who says she won't stop until she has answers. Drew?
Yeah, Kyron Horman was last seen here at Skyline Elementary on June 4th, 2010. His mom drives up to the Portland area at least once a year, if not more, to work with law enforcement to keep this case active and to bring him home.
My life didn't really move on. My mission stays the same, and until I get to bring Kyron home, I just keep fighting for him.
This is what Kyron Horman looked like when he was 7 years old.
Welcome to a deep, dark, dank, moist basement somewhere in the bowels of Georgia. A little something different for you there, Coach. I did a little homework and got my shit together before editing.
Nice, buddy. Well, I'm taking it old school Mysterious Brews podcast style tonight.
Are you now?
Yeah, since it's July 5th and, America's birthday, I'm drinking Sweetwater American Lager.
Oh, look at there. I
might not be as witty and, funny at the end of it. I might be funnier. You never know.
You never know. I didn't know they had a lager.
Yeah, it's pretty new.
Huh,
I've tried it once. It's good.
I'll have to go get it.
But, since it's America's birthday.
Yeah. I am halfway through my first case of second rodeo, and man, when I tell you they went down easy starting on Saturday, and it lasted all the way to the 4th of July.
Ain't you supposed to be bringing me some of that stuff?
I am if you ever stay home.
By God, I'm home now. I am going to Florida on Friday. That's why we're recording early, because I'm going to Florida.
He's going to the
Redneck Riviera, baby. Panama City Beach.
That's right. Maybe if you have enough of them American lagers down there, or have you some Oyster City beer. They do have a good brown ale.
I'm sure I'll have it.
If you're lucky enough, you can put a watermelon on your head.
I'll tell you what, man. On my way home from jiu-jitsu tonight, I let it randomly pick an episode of ours to re-listen to, and it picked episode 75, Aaron Hedges.
Yeah, buddy.
Bro, that shit is still so crazy to me. If you haven't listened to episode 75, Aaron Hedges, do yourself a favor, because not only is it one of the craziest mysteries of all time, I'm actually fucking good in it. I was like, damn, I knew my shit.
Well, that one was close to home. Was that not the one that your sister recommended, or was that another one?
No, that was one from the crazy mountains in Montana.
Oh, that's right.
Where the dude just like,
yeah,
there's just a fork in the road on the trail. He's supposed to go left and he goes right.
That's right.
And he just disappears off the face of the fucking planet for 9 months.
Yep, and he was given a segment in the second Missing 411 documentary. So
yes, that guy.
You can watch that and then listen to us, or vice versa. We just ask that you listen. One thing I did want to point out was I labeled our latest episode that released on the 4th of July called Missing 411 Kids Part 2. Had a lot of people reach out and go, well, there was a Part 1? Yes, there was. It was episode 156. We had originally recorded that as a Patreon exclusive episode, and during one of our busy back to work, something, vacation, whatever, we released it to the general public. So if you are not a patron, episode 156. If you are a patron, just scroll on back.
It's a good episode, man. That was a pretty good one too.
We looked. I didn't mean to pick them that way, but we had three 3-year-olds that went missing and were found, and then we had the 8-year-old Van Alst case. I really enjoyed it. We've got a lot of feedback on that. People love the Missing 411, and like I said, other podcasts kind of get, I guess, tired of going over the same stuff. But I just find it so interesting. We're going to keep doing them until y'all stop listening, and then we'll probably still do them.
Man, nobody listens anyway, so we can do what the hell we want.
That's right. All right, so we're
back to the sad shit.
Yes, we are.
This is pretty crazy. It's very sad, and
we will probably find something to laugh about. But remember, folks, there's some dark shit that we have to discuss that I research and he researches, so we got to find some comedy somewhere. It's not that we're being insensitive or cold. It's just I would beat my head against the wall if we couldn't laugh at some things. Now, before we get started, I, along with Mr. Paul, and I'm probably mispronouncing his name, and I apologize, Mr. Fiscus the Third has been sending us our episodes in MP4 format. We finally got together and figured out what Google Drive was doing, and I finally got one uploaded to our Mysterious Brews YouTube channel. Hey, dude, did you know we have 82 subscribers and have like 6 videos?
On our YouTube?
Yeah.
Shit, I'm not even subscribed. I need to do that.
You sorry sucker, sap-sucking sons of bitches. All right, so let's get into it. We are going to discuss Kyron Richard Horman. Kyron was born on September 9th, 2002 in Portland, Oregon to parents Kane and Desiree. Kyron's parents would divorce, however, before Kyron was born, and he spent the first 2 years of his life living with his mother. His mom, Desiree, was struggling with kidney issues and decided to seek treatment in Canada. Desiree would have to move in with her parents, so Kyron went to live with his father, Kane. Knowing that Kane, an engineer for Intel, was very busy, Desiree actually contacted her longtime friend, Terry, and asked her to move into the Horman home and become a full-time caretaker for Kyron. Terry agreed. Now, you may be thinking that's a little odd. Well, that's just the first oddity in this case. Kane and Terry already knew each other, and by what I researched, they knew each other very, very well because the pair had an affair while Kane and Desiree were still married, but broke things off. However, when Terry moved in with Kane and Kyron, she and Kane rekindled their relationship, and eventually got married in 2007. Terry already had one son of her own, James, from a previous marriage, and the following year, her and Kane welcomed their first child together, a daughter named Kiara. Desiree would remarry after she overcame her battle with kidney problems to a man named Tony Young, who was a police officer. Now, friends and family described Kyron as a bright and energetic 7-year-old who loved the beach and dreamed of becoming a police officer one day like his new stepfather, Tony Young. He thrived in school, was in an advanced math class, and was a natural at learning sign language. Though he was clearly an intelligent child, Kyron had been having trouble with his memory in the weeks leading up to his disappearance and was said to sometimes space out during conversations. According to his stepmother, Terry, his doctor believed that he might be having, quote, mini seizures, and scheduled an appointment for him to be checked out the following Monday, June the 11th, 2010. So on Monday, June 4th, 2010, Kyron was excited to get to school because it was the day of the science fair at Skyline Elementary.
Yeah, from my research, that was the week before the last week of school. They're going all the way into June? Blasphemy.
Our buddy Hotch in New York, they didn't get out until, I want to say, the middle of June, so he went almost to the end of June.
Yeah, well, I think they got them built in like that because they have to take way more weather days than we do.
Correct. And
that's what they told me in Maine when I was in Maine.
They also do not have air conditioning in the old schools up there, so they don't want any part of any hot or heat waves.
They don't have air conditioners?
No, not in the, well, at least Hotch said they didn't up there in his little town. They actually canceled.
He's in upstate New York, right?
Yeah, he's in Ithaca. They actually canceled school, he said, one year. It was like the first week of June, and it had got to like 92 or 93. And they canceled school for 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he said, too. He goes, you know, growing up, I had heard about these heat waves from my father. He said, and then I moved to Georgia, and I'm like, heat wave? Y'all don't know anything. He said, then I moved home. Sure enough, we cancel. He said, and I'm like, for this? This is just an average. This is a nice day in Georgia.
I can't remember why exactly. It was weather. I don't think it was snow, but the best canceled school day ever was the night after Obama was elected. You know, I was staying up late to see how the election went. And, you know, when you're staying up late, you tend to drink a little bit. And I got a little too fucking drunk on a weekday. And I was like, oh, my God, tomorrow's going to suck. And they canceled school. And I was like, this is the most glorious day ever. Going to work at a school with a hangover is not good. It is not fun. It's not good for anyone.
No. So Kyron had completed his science project on red-eyed tree frogs and was excited to show off his findings that day. Terry took him to school that morning and helped Kyron take all of his belongings and the project to his classroom. They left his backpack and his coat in the classroom, and then they went together to set up his exhibit in the gym. Now, multiple witnesses placed Kyron, Terry, and his sister Kiara in the school gym just after 8 a.m.
Well, there's a photo. The last photo of him is at the science fair.
Yeah, he's cheesing it in front of his board.
Yeah, and that was a good board.
Yeah, it was.
It looked like he did good.
I would have given him the old blue ribbon.
Absolutely.
Now, because of the science fair, the school was open to everyone that day, and no one was required to sign in. Terry and baby Kiara would finish helping Kyron set up his exhibit and then looked around at the other exhibits. They would leave the school at approximately 8:45 a.m. Now, classes were just about to start, and Terry states that she last saw Kyron walking down the hallway towards his math class. She called out to him before leaving, and he waved goodbye. Unfortunately, Kyron Horman would never be seen or heard from again. Now, Kyron's father, Kane, arrived home from work at 2 p.m. that day, and around 3 p.m., him, Terry, and the baby sister, Kiara, all went down to the bus stop to wait for Kyron. The bus arrived at its usual time, but Kyron did not get off the bus. So Kane asked the bus driver, "Hey, where's my son?" The bus driver says, "He didn't get on the bus when we left school." So Terry calls the school immediately and learned that Kyron never showed up for class and had been marked absent. Now, investigators theorize after interviewing Kyron's teacher, Miss Christina Porter, that her and Terry had a miscommunication of some sort that morning. The teacher, Miss Porter, mistakenly believed that Kyron's doctor's appointment was for that day, June the 4th, instead of the following Friday, June the 11th, which is why she didn't find it concerning when Kyron was not there when class started. Once the family and school officials realized that Kyron was missing, the school secretary called 911 and the search proceeded very quickly. Ironically, Kyron had a infatuation in the area of forensic science, and on the day that he disappeared, he was wearing a CSI t-shirt bearing the logo of the TV show.
Well, does that have any significance to the case?
No, I don't think it does, but I think they kind of... They didn't... I'm not as cunning linguist as I lead other people to believe. I think he nerded out at science. That was his niche. I think he just, a lot of kids get into science with dinosaurs and stuff, but I think he really loved all aspects of it and then kind of really started honing in on forensic science, which, by the way, they offer as a high school class now in the state of Georgia.
That's pretty cool, man. Anything to get kids excited about science. I remember just hating science in school, and then the fucking Mythbusters came along, and I was like, holy shit, like...
Science can be cool.
Science can be cool. Like, I had terrible teachers.
Yeah, I hated science, man. Now, my son loves it. Loves it. Now, when news of Kyron's disappearance hit the media in Portland, it almost immediately became a national story. According to Unsolved magazine, the community mobilized and met at a local church to begin searching for Kyron. The search,
it's weird to me what cases get national attention. Not like I'm not saying his didn't deserve it; it certainly did. But it's just strange. Like there's so many cases out there. It's just weird which ones get the national attention. I know we've got the pretty white woman syndrome?
Yeah, the missing white woman syndrome.
Missing white woman syndrome, where that's definitely going to get media coverage, but I don't know. It's weird. Not saying his didn't deserve it. It certainly did. It's a very famous case for good reason, but there's probably a lot of other cases that are just as strange and just as mysterious that probably needed more attention and just didn't get it.
Agreed. And that's one thing that I've noticed since we started doing this. If we just did missing children, we could have an offshoot podcast and never run out of episodes with kids just basically vanishing, not missing 411 style, but kind of like Kyron did. He was at school. There was a miscommunication, so nobody really thought anything about it. The school thought he was with mom.
Well, I was going to suggest, like, at the end of the episode, once we log off, I was going to suggest to add to our list. Another one is Andrew Godson in England, who just got on a train.
I remember that one. That one was extremely odd.
Yeah, he got on a train, went into town, and never seen again. Never. Just left, didn't tell anybody where he was going, didn't do anything. And, yeah, that's going to be on the list because it's a very famous case, too. But, yeah, it's just missing kids it's sad, but it's more prominent than you'd like to think.
Yes, it is, unfortunately. Now, the search for Kyron was the largest in Oregon history and included over 1,300 searchers. Unfortunately, after 10 days, the search was called off due to not finding any evidence. There was no signs of Kyron anywhere, When the search ended, authorities shifted the investigation from a missing persons case to a criminal investigation. And I think
it is strange to think that it's 2010 and that school didn't have any surveillance. There's no cameras.
That, and it's post 9/11. So you would think even on Science Fair Day, I'm just thinking back to when we had things going on at the school that we worked together. It didn't matter. Everyone still had to sign in. Now, they may put
I saw that reported that there was no requirement for anyone to sign in. Essentially, it was the day of if you were going to abduct a child, that was the day to do it because there was no requirement to sign in. Basically, the doors were unlocked, and anybody could come and go as they pleased. And that, you would think in Portland, Oregon, a larger city, that wouldn't happen because I promise you, in my small rinky-dink town, because it was 2010, we were working together then.
Yeah.
That was the year we worked together. That wouldn't have happened at the school we were at.
No.
And we lived fucking bumfuck Egypt.
Yeah, we were at a very rural, medium to low income school, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter that, I know him. It don't matter. So.
Yeah, you're going to sign in, you're going to show your ID.
Yep.
Or you're not getting in.
And the thing is, now the school system that we used to work for, every school has a buzzer with, basically it's a ring camera, and you got to state your business before they'll even buzz you in. Yeah,
the school I work for now, both the school I worked for last year and the school I'm going to work for next year, both of them have ring doorbells.
It's crazy, man. Crazy.
But you state your business.
That's right. What's your intentions here, sir?
Yeah.
Now, investigators, I was going to make a point here, but I thought it was very good on the local authorities to shift his case from missing persons to a criminal investigation because I think that gave them a lot more, not necessarily funding, but it gave them more avenues to pursue.
More resources,
right,
most likely.
There we go. That resources word was eluding me, sir.
Yeah.
Investigators immediately questioned Terry and Kane. According to Terry, she has a timeline of her actions on June the 4th. Now, this is her timeline, and then we will kind of dissect that. So, according to her, that morning at 8 a.m., her, Kyron, and Kiara arrive at Skyline Elementary at 8 a.m. At 8:45 a.m., that's the last time she sees Kyron as he's walking down the hallway to his math class. She, along with her daughter, leave the school. 15 minutes later at 9, Terry arrives at a Fred Meyer store. She needed to pick up medication for Kiara, who had an ear infection. However, she accidentally went to the wrong Fred Meyer the first time. Terry arrives at the second and the correct Fred Meyer store and picks up Kiara's medication at 9:30 a.m. Around 10 Allegedly. Around 10 a.m., Terry drops off her husband's dry cleaning. 10 minutes later, she stops at the Michael's craft store. At 10:39 a.m., she makes a phone call, but to whom she made the call is not publicly known and has not been released. Sometime between 10:10 a.m. and 11:39 a.m., she has zero alibi. According to her, Kiara was feeling horrible, and she decided to drive around because the motion made the ear infection feel better. Now, if this is a young child, I would say under the age of 4, what she's probably doing is driving around hoping she'll fall asleep.
Yeah.
Now, at 11:39 a.m., Terry arrives at the gym and leaves Kiara at the on-site daycare center. 12:20 p.m., Tara, I've just combined names now. Terry and Kiara leave the gym. 12:40 p.m., they arrive home. 1:21, Terry uploads photos to her Facebook account, including the pictures of Kyron she had taken that day at the science fair. Her husband, Kane, arrives home from work at 2 while she is uploading the pictures, and then around 3:30, they head to the bus stop for Kyron. Now, perhaps one of the most non-biased sequence of events on Kyron's last day comes from a detailed, and I do mean detailed, timeline, courtesy of the Oregonian, which actually put Terry at 2 different grocery stores until 10:10 that morning. However, remember, between 10:10 and 11:39, she has no alibi. Kyron was reportedly seen by one more student around 9 a.m., and then was marked absent from his first class at 10 a.m. Now, the Oregonian timeline I have cherry-picked because when I tell you it is extensive, I mean, good Lord. Good Lord. Now, to get to it, I will try to put the link, but you're going to have to use the Wayback Machine because the Oregonian, it's like most online newspapers. But if you'll go to webmachine.com and then type in or paste the link that I will put on our socials, you can find this article, and it is in depth, man. So Friday, June the 4th, 2010, like we've already discussed, 8 a.m., school doors open. Terry and Kyron get there as soon as the school opens. There's a billboard outside that says June 4th, IB Inquiry Expo, 8 to 10. IB is probably International Baccalaureate. That's something similar to Advanced Placement. And then they have a talent show that same day from 1 to 2:45. That was on the billboard outside of the school. Now, Kyron was supposed to take part in both the Science Expo, Science Fair, and the talent show. At 8:15 a.m., Skyline PTA President Gina Zimmerman arrived at the school and saw Kyron with his stepmother in front of his exhibit. Now, Terry left the school at 8:45 a.m. after watching Kyron walk towards his classroom. At 9, the other student sees him near the south entrance of Skyline. And according to Sheriff Dan Staten, that was the last time Kyron was seen, though Multnomah County authorities later backtracked on that statement. Now, class began at 10 a.m., and shortly after that is when the homeroom teacher, Miss Christina Porter, reported Kyron absent. At 1:21 p.m., Terry posted the picture of Kyron and his project to her Facebook page, and like we just discussed, her and Kane, along with Kiara, head down to the bus stop to wait on Kyron to get off the bus. So at 3:46 p.m., the school secretary, Susan Hall, called 911 to report Kyron missing. About 45 minutes later, officers from the Portland Police Bureau and the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office arrived simultaneously at the school and Kyron's home, which I think, hey, we shit on cops when they don't do what they're supposed to, but I'm going to tell you something. These 2 police agencies could not, I don't think, have done a better job. I mean, they were pretty Johnny on the spot. And I think it's key here that they both decided one would go to the school, one would go to the parents' home, but they would all arrive exactly at the same time. So just in case there was some collusion between someone at the school and the family, they nipped that in the bud. Now, an hour after police arrived at both the school and the Horman home, around 5:30 p.m., a broadcast was sent to phones of parents in the Portland Public Schools that read, quote, Kyron Horman did not arrive at home today. At 7 p.m., Multnomah County Sheriff's Detective Sergeant Lee Gosson alerted Sergeant Travis Goldberg, the county's on-call coordinator for search and rescue efforts, of the need to begin a formal missing person search for Kyron. Now, sometime between 7 and 7:15, the Multnomah County Public Information Officer began to return pages from members of the media and arranged to meet them at the school. Sometime between that and 7:45, Sheriff Dan Staten personally called the FBI to alert them of Kyron's disappearance. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, this is in a huge city. So they have resources that these little smaller municipalities probably don't have. But that sheriff knew immediately this was a missing child, and he wanted the FBI to help. And I think that's key with a lot of these. Check your ego. Do what's best for the kid. Now, the first search teams arrived at Skyline School at 8:09 p.m., and shortly after that, around 8:15 p.m., Lieutenant Mary Lindstrom also arrived at the school and met with those parents. She then began emailing a photo to Kyron to all of the local media. Deputy Mark Herron, the search and rescue coordinator, arrived at 8:25 p.m., and at 9:48 p.m., Mountain Wave, an emergency communications and search and rescue group based in Gresham, also arrived at the school. So you're looking at within right at 6 hours, they have rallied the troops and they're getting ready to go. So at 10:40 p.m., officers reported that they had completed a search of the school, including all crawl spaces, storage areas, classrooms, and outbuildings. They had also searched the Horman house. About 4 minutes after that report, a tipster called 911 to make sure officers checked the train tunnel in the area near the school. The caller said, quote, "Sometimes kids play in there. I want to make sure someone has checked that out," end quote. So we jump to the next day, Saturday, June the 5th. Another search group, Pacific Northwest Search and Rescue, was called by the sheriff's office at 5 a.m. that Saturday. When they arrived on site, 60 to 70 people were already involved in the search. At 9:08 a.m., the Associated Press received its first official notification that Kyron was missing via an email with the subject line, "Sheriff's Office continues search for 7-year-old Kyron Horman." That morning, helpfindmychild.net, a UK-based missing child website, created a page for Kyron, and a tip line was created at 503-261-2847. So within less than 24 hours, you have got resources just pouring into this situation. Now, around that same time, which is around noon on Saturday, the Portland Public Schools District used its rapid broadcast system to alert staff and parents of Skyline School students who were at the school Friday to come to the K-8 building on Sunday for information by police and federal agents. The older students were advised to arrive at 10 a.m. Kindergartners and first graders were to arrive with their parents later than that. Now, a sheriff spokesperson said during a press conference that the search for Kyron was still a missing person case. And then more news conferences were held that day, one at 4 p.m. and one at 8 p.m. Authorities announced that the FBI and the National Guard had joined in the search effort. Search and rescue crews completed an immediate grid search around the school, fanning out from that last known position. And then that night at 10:23 p.m., a Facebook page was created for supporters of Kyron and his family. That page remains active today. So we fast forward to Sunday, June the 6th. Terry Horman posts on Facebook at 8:58 a.m. saying she had ordered missing person flyers. Quote, "I ordered 1,000 flyers. They will be coming to our house. I will let people know when they are here, and we can go from there. Thank you, everyone," end quote. That morning, the FBI also announces that they had brought in a Quantico, Virginia-based profiler to create a profile of Kyron. At 9:48 a.m., the first of 300 students and their parents returned to Skyline School to be interviewed by detectives. 50 detectives were on hand for interviews that continued from 9:48 a.m. until 4 p.m. that Sunday.
You can't tell me that they weren't trying.
No, and that's what I'm saying, man.
50 detectives?
50 detectives.
I don't know how many detectives there are in Portland, Oregon, but man, that's a lot.
Yes.
My town has 2.
Well, that rinky-dink county I live in, the county has 3, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impressive, man. And I'm sure once it went out on the AP, you had detectives from other jurisdictions volunteering their time, which is great. But I think that's what is lost in some of these cases that we cover in some rural districts. You've got Johnny Law Dog, whose ego won't let him call in help. Man, when it comes to a kid, you leave no stone unturned.
All right, Kansas Law Dog.
That's right.
Law don't go around here.
Savvy?
You savvy?
So that afternoon,
winner for the king. Shut up, Ike.
That afternoon around 12:10 p.m., Kyron's relatives began distributing those missing person flyers with a photo of Kyron and his description, which stated that he was 3 feet 8 inches tall, weighed 50 pounds, had blue eyes, brown hair, last seen wearing black cargo pants, white socks, and worn black Skechers tennis shoes with orange trim. At 3:30 p.m., Portland Public Schools Superintendent Carol Smith appeared at a news conference and outlined a series of immediate steps the district was taking to address security concerns in the wake of Kyron's disappearance. Yeah, somebody lost their damn job, I can tell you that.
I would bet so.
The Multnomah County Sheriff escalated Kyron's disappearance to a missing endangered child case at 9 p.m. on Sunday, June the 6th, but did not call it a kidnapping. So Tuesday, June the 15th, and when I tell you the timeline of the Oregonian is detailed, I mean they have something for every day from the day he went missing all the way until the end of our episode here. So like I said, we're going to jump around a little bit. So Tuesday, June 15th, early on the final day of Skyline classes for the 2009-2010 school year, the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office released a photo of a pair of glasses like the ones Kyron wore when he was last seen. Around noon, the sheriff's dive team was spotted on a property near the Horman home. According to a sheriff's spokeswoman, the search of a pond on the property was just routine. At 3:36 p.m., the county sheriff's office released a new version of the photo of Kyron at his science fair. This version was created using photo editing software that showed what Kyron would look like if his glasses were missing. So then we jump to Thursday, June 17th. Rumors start firing up on social media claiming that Kyron's body had been found. And this is so detrimental to any investigation. For God's sakes, don't put that shit out there if you do not hear it from a reputable law enforcement agency. Because a lot of people would have just stopped searching and thought that he was found. But the next day on Friday, the county sheriff's office released a flyer asking parents and kids about the day Kyron disappeared. The flyer included photos of Kyron, Terry,
excuse me,
and a pickup similar to the one that she was driving the day he went missing. That was a little anticlimactic. But anyway, that afternoon on Friday, June 18th, around 2 p.m., Captain Jason Gates said at a news conference that the family approved the flyer and he squashed all the rumors that Kyron's body had been found. But the damage had already been done because that took another 24 hours for an official release stating no, his body had not been found. All right. Sidebar, tangent, whatever you want to call it. Look, I teach from home, and I bought one of these nice, like, gel pad, seat pad things from the Cushion.
You look like you're having problems.
From the Cushion Lab. Now, that thing is nice, but it adds about 2 inches to your chair. But they have this non-skid, they say, backing my ass slides out of this chair every 15, 20 minutes if I adjust my seating position. So I'm going to put me some Velcro on this son of a... So I apologize for the delay there. All right, so let's get into the stepmom, because I can sit here and I can bore y'all to death with dates and times and what they found, but you are more.
I'm not going to point fingers, but this woman does not help her case. She does not help her case. I can see why she's the main suspect, and she does not do anything to help herself at all.
No, sir, she does not. So let's circle back to some dates and things that transpired that are connected to Miss Terry Horman. In the timeline we just discussed, Terry was reportedly at 2 different grocery stores until a little after 10 that morning, but from then until 11:39, she doesn't have an alibi. Now, she claims that in that hour before she checked in at her gym, she was riding her infant daughter around trying to soothe an ear infection. I don't know about you. I'm pretty sure riding around when my ear hurts is not one of those things that I am looking to do. Like I said, I think she was trying to get that little girl to go to sleep. Now, Oregon police apparently did not buy this explanation of Terry's, and they began focusing their attention directly on her. They asked Terry and Kyron's biological parents to take a polygraph test as part of the investigation. All right, so again, we have to probably backtrack a little bit here, but I think in this case, I would, if my child was missing and I knew for a fact, like if I was Kane, I was at work, you want me to take a polygraph? Hook me up, Buttercup. Let's get this over with so you can rule me out and let's get looking for my son.
Yeah, but I mean, we know polygraphs are iffy.
Yes. So I can see both sides of this polygraph coin here. I do think they are one of the many tools detectives can use to see whether or not they're on the right track. Now, we have a laundry list of agencies that abuse these and will lie to your ass and tell you that you failed when you passed, but that is a tale for another day. So they've asked Terry, they've asked Kane, they've asked Desiree, his biological mother, all to take a polygraph. Everyone says yes. Well, they then come back and ask Terry to take a second one. And she actually was on an episode of Dr. Phil concerning Kyron's case. And Terry tells Dr. Phil that, yes, she failed both polygraph tests and even walked out on a third one. She says the reason she failed it and for walking out the third time was because she's essentially deaf in one ear, and the way the test was administered, it was causing her to take longer to answer the questions because she couldn't hear the polygraph examiner ask the questions clearly.
Now, I mean, the fact that she failed the test really does start pointing the fingers toward her. But you and me both our opinions of the polygraphs would not sway our opinion towards her, but she just keeps piling on and piling on.
Well, here's my thing. If that's the case, if you're deaf in one ear and you fail that first polygraph test,
you need to let them know the second time.
Bingo.
Let somebody know.
Just say, hey, or better yet, hell, when you sat down for the first one and you realize that he was sitting on your left side or she was sitting on your left side, and that's the ear that you're deaf in, be like, hey, can we swap positions? Can we move around? I can't hear out of this ear.
But if that was the only thing weighing against her, you and I both would just be like, oh, no, we can't trust that. That's not enough.
Exactly.
But she just can't help herself.
No, she can't. So investigators decide that is enough to start taking a deeper dive into Terry's personal life. And they get a hold of her emails, and they find that she did not like Kyron and even blamed him for marital troubles between her and Kane. I do apologize if y'all hear loud explosions. I live around a bunch of dumbasses that have some leftover fireworks.
Dude, they were setting them off where I was last night until 1 a.m.
Yeah, here too. Yep. I live at the base of a hill, and the jackass on the top of the hill decided at 12:15 it would be a good idea to start just Let's do the grand finale.
The Hispanic next door neighbors, they started theirs at 9. They're awesome people, though. I love them to death. They bring us food all the time. I mean, whew. Homemade, authentic Mexican food
You can't
brought
beat it.
to your door out of nowhere is probably the greatest gift anyone can give you. They started theirs at 9, so we actually stood on our porch and watched them, and it was great because it was over by 9:45.
Right.
But 1 in the morning, not cool, man.
No, man, it's not. So, in these emails, basically Terry is blaming Kyron because her and Kane are having problems. She resented the fact that Kane had made her son, James, move out of their home earlier in the year due to the fact that Kane and James did not get along. Now, additionally,
it becomes abundantly clear that she is not fond of Kyron.
Yes. Just a couple days after Kyron disappears, Terry was quoting as telling Kyron's biological mother, Desiree, "I loved your son," end quote. Some have found this wording to be telling. Because,
the past tense.
Yes, Terry was already speaking of Kyron in the past tense.
Yeah, that's not good.
Nope, sure ain't. Especially when the rest of his family are still out there hoping he's going to be found alive and well. Was this just an unfortunate slip of the tongue or a sign that she already knew what had happened to Kyron? Desiree strongly believes that Terry is guilty as sin. Now, Kane also believed this, stating that Terry appeared to suffer from postpartum depression and a personality disorder in addition to having a problem with alcohol. Terry and Kane would later divorce, with Kane filing a restraining order against Terry. What?
Yeah, but why would he do such a thing?
Well, what we do know now is that on Saturday, June 26th of 2010, the first of 2 911 calls are made from the Horman residence off Northwest Shelter Nook Road. The first one came at 5:17 p.m., and it was described by authorities as a, quote, threat call, and deputies were dispatched and responded. The second one occurred at 11:39 p.m., and this one was classified as a, quote, custody issue. Sometime during Saturday, Kane moves out and takes his 19-month-old daughter, Kiara, with him. So then we fast forward a couple of days later. On Monday, June 28th of 2010, Terry was approached at her home in Northwest Portland by the Oregonian. Terry denied that her husband and daughter had moved out. Quote, "Everything's good." Gave him a thumbs up. And proceeds to say, "We heard that rumor. It's just a rumor that needs to be squelched. Everything's perfectly fine." End quote. Now, at 5:52 p.m., Kane, Desiree, and Desiree's new husband, Tony Young, asked the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office to release a statement stating that they were cooperating with the investigation. What is a telltale sign in this statement is Terry Horman's name was not in it. Shortly after this press release, media outlets in Portland were tipped off that Terry had been served with a restraining order and a petition for dissolution of the marriage at the family's home. The following day, a Multnomah County judge sealed the restraining order against Terry. So there's some red flags in that restraining order if you've got a county judge sealing it from the public.
Well, doesn't it come out that she did something very nefarious towards her husband?
It's like you're reading my mind. It's like you're looking at my notes right here.
I know, right? It's like I did my own research, bro.
When you think this could clearly not get any more convoluted, well, buckle up, Buttercup, because here we go. So, on June 26, 2010, a landscaper, claims that Terry had tried to hire him to kill Kane. And this was about 6 months before Kyron's disappearance that this alleged hit was scheduled to take place. Now, on June 26, he said he went back to speak with Terry, this time after being asked to do so by the police while wearing a body wire. Speaking with her, the landscaper reportedly asked for $10,000 and threatened to go to the police and report the murder for hire plot if she did not comply. I guess she smelt a rat and she didn't let go anything, and she denied the charges or the claims.
She kind of just changed the subject and brushed it off like it didn't really ever happen. So they didn't have anything to pin it on her.
Right. Now,
which is good. I mean, smart.
If you're going to
regardless of what happened,
if you're going to be a criminal, you can't be stupid.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, man. This is crazy. But anyway, this was the incident that led Kane to file for divorce when he found this out and seek the restraining order. Now, Kane would also petition the court and claim that Terry was, quote, an emotionally disturbed individual and that she was putting her personal needs ahead of their daughter and finding Kyron. He also believes that she is responsible for the disappearance of Kyron due to her changing stories, failing polygraph tests, and the lack of emotional responses. Kane then revealed text messages between Terry and his high school friend Michael Cook that contained sexually explicit texts and images.
Oh, yeah. They got real weird with it.
Yeah, and the judge obviously was on Kane's side and basically gave him full custody of his daughter, Kiara. Now, authorities and other family members have suspected that Terry's best friend, Dee Dee Spiker, may have been involved as well, especially since she had roughly 3 hours of time that she refused to account for on the day that Kyron went missing, which just happened to overlap when Terry was supposedly driving the baby around to soothe the ear infection. Now, investigators learned that Spiker reportedly abruptly left her job in Northwest Portland on the morning Kyron disappeared and returned 90 minutes later. She also allegedly helped Horman buy a burner cell phone, according to some media reports at the time. In July of 2010, a Multnomah County grand jury subpoenaed Spiker. Law enforcement called her cooperative and said she allowed a search of her car and her property. And as far as I know, Miss Spiker was never charged with any crime. In October of 2012, Spiker refused to answer more than 140 questions, however, during a deposition because Desiree Young, Kyron's biological mother, had filed a lawsuit against Terry Horman. Some of the questions were in regard to Miss Spiker's whereabouts and contact with Terry the day that Kyron disappeared. Miss Spiker also refused to identify a photo of Kyron and say whether or not she had ever met Kyron before.
What?
Yeah, buddy.
She would not say if she ever met her stepson?
No. This is her mama's friend. So,
okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weird friend.
Yeah. In, I guess, a twisted chain of events. This just adds to the craziness in this story. But basically, old Dee Dee, she's down there working at the local nursery, and she's being paid under the table cash because, see, what had happened was she was on unemployment checks during this time, and if she admitted to actually having a job being paid cash and cashing them unemployment checks, well, that would be called unemployment fraud.
Yeah, fraud. They frown upon fraud.
Especially when it comes to the government's money.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they can misplace $6.8 million or $1 billion and send it to Ukraine. I can't misplace an accounting error or how they changed the fucking withholdings on W-2s this year. They didn't buy my, I can't plead stupid.
You sure you can't?
I tried, dude. I gave them phone numbers, addresses, email addresses of people that would tell them that I'm a dumbass.
You had to give them my number.
You were numero uno.
I would definitely vouch for that.
That boy can't tie his shoes. That's why his laces have that little knot in the end of them. All right, so Terry's friend Dee Dee has since claimed that she has, quote, unofficially been cleared of any suspicion in the case. What's funny is the sheriff's office hadn't released a statement saying that.
I mean, you can say you've been cleared of anything, you know. You can just say it.
I think
Don't make it true.
I think we're going to put out on our social medias that you and I have been cleared of the JFK assassination.
I have been cleared of the Lindbergh kidnapping.
Yes. I have spoken at nauseum with the FBI, and they have seen it my way. All right, so let's get into theories. Terry.
Well, we don't like to point fingers on this podcast, but it just seems very strange that the stepmom, Terry, has made it very clear that she did not like Kyron. Her stories don't match up. She tried to hire a hitman to kill her husband. And then you didn't mention the fact that there was a book put out about this case.
Well, I was getting that, sir. I was getting that.
Oh, I'm sorry. And in the book, they talk about two witnesses that saw Kyron leave that morning with the stepmom.
Not only two witnesses, but the bus driver also. Actually, there was four witnesses. There was the bus driver, the classmate, and then two family members of separate classmates.
And then there's also the fact that they saw a white truck sitting near the school with two people inside, one being female, one being male, and the stepmom just so happened to drive a white truck.
Say it ain't so, Joe.
However, you can say that, well, the maintenance man of the school, the groundskeeper of the school, drove a white truck as well. So you could probably dismiss that. However, a male and female were seen, and if it was her car, her truck rather, the male has never been identified, and he's never come forward for any information either.
You just ain't doing yourself any favors.
It's just...
There's a ton of circumstantial evidence, and that's what I was going to say.
Circumstantial evidence is not evidence, though.
Correct.
But it just seems to me that her actions and her words and her actions are very suspicious, and it would lead me to I would agree with the detectives and the people involved that she's definitely my number one suspect.
Yes, she is mine too. And the book that Coach is referring to is by Rebecca Morris. It was released in 2020. It's titled Boy Missing: The Search for Kyron Horman.
Correct.
And in that book, Miss Morris also writes that investigators were immediately suspicious of Terry because of her eerily over-the-top happy and cheerful demeanor on the day of Kyron's disappearance. The author also goes on to state that allegedly Terry washed Kyron's jacket and backpack that day after
suspicious behavior.
According to her, after picking it up when they went to the school to search for him.
But here's the thing. I mean, she's definitely no criminal mastermind. No. So if she did do this,
she's got
surely they would have found him by now. The mother has stated that they have the search area dwindled down to 100 acres.
Damn. I did not see that.
Yes. Around 100 acres is the main search area at this point. So it's just a matter of if that's an accurate whereabouts. They're just a matter of time before they find him. Unfortunately, I mean, at this point, he'd be 20 years old. Same thing with Timothy Pitson. At some point, he's going to know he's a missing person.
Correct.
I mean, he was 7.
Yeah, this young man's not going to be as easily fooled into believing he is someone else.
Yes, correct. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to say he's gone, and that is very, very sad. But let's think about for a second, though we and the police have a main suspect, let's think for a second that she's not involved at all. Yeah. Stepmom's not involved at all. What the hell happened?
One thing that, before we get to that angle, one thing or a couple of things I wanted to point out in that lady's book was the author claims that the day before Kyron's disappearance, Terry emailed a friend and said that she was going to leave Kane the next day and take her daughter with her. Terry wasn't able to recall or describe to police where she was for part of that day, and she had a suspicious large gash on her leg. Now, despite all of this, Terry...
Who did? The daughter or the stepmom?
Stepmom.
Stepmom had a large gash. I didn't hear that. Yeah. I didn't see that at all.
Yeah, it was in that lady's book.
Okay.
Despite all of this, Terry has always maintained her innocence in Kyron's disappearance. She said her own belief is that Kyron was abducted from the school, pointing out there are known pedophiles living in the area, and with the lack of security, one could have come in there and took Kyron.
Yeah, I saw a thing. I think it was. It may have been 60 Minutes. It may have. I can't. It wasn't Dr. Phil, but they were interviewing the stepmom, and they asked her point blank, "Why do you think there's not been any charges leveled against you?" And she said, "Because the police have evidence that exonerates me." And she doesn't understand why they won't release it. That was on one of the videos I sent you.
Very suspicious. Very, very suspicious.
But I mean, if that's true, let's focus on the fact that stepmom's not involved. What the hell happened then?
Well, he has to be. He was seen near the south entrance. The only thing that I can think of, he was headed to math class is my thing.
Yeah, so who wants to go to math class?
Well, I mean, they said he loved school, so, I mean, and I guarantee you they were on a modified schedule because they had the science fair and the talent show going on. It was the last week of school. Or the second to last week of school, I guess I should say.
I was about to correct you, but I was burping.
Well,
it was second to last week. Excuse me, sir.
All right, so the other angle.
What I'm trying to say is I don't think this kid left on his own.
No, I don't either.
He was either abducted by a complete stranger or he went with a stepmom and met with foul play. He met with foul play no matter what, and that's it sucks to say. I would love to have a podcast where everything works out every time, but it's just not what we're in. It's not what we do. And unfortunately, I think this kid met with evil.
I do too, unfortunately. Now, not piling it on, but this is also common knowledge out there. We have to take a look at Terry's hitman situation going on. 3 weeks after Kyron went missing, Kane was informed by police officers that an undercover operation was underway at his home. The reason was that a landscaper for the Hormans had come to tell authorities that Terry had attempted to hire him for murder, or to murder him, Kane. And she was claiming that Kane was very abusive towards her. Now, allegedly, Terry told the landscaper, and this is kind of, I don't know, this might be something that goes for her. But anyway, I'll just read it to you. Allegedly, Terry told Rodolfo Rudy Sanchez Estrada that Kane often carried large amounts of cash with him and suggested that Rudy make Kane's murder look like a mugging and that he was more than welcome to keep whatever money he found on Kane for his efforts. During the undercover thing, where they try to get her to admit they used an undercover agent. Now, if you read some of the things out there, they will tell you that people have like thrown this theory, hitman theory, out the window because Mr. Sanchez Estrada does not speak any English, and Terry, as far as everybody knows, does not speak any Spanish. So that's why I think they used a English-speaking person in the undercover sting, which immediately would have raised suspicion if you are Terry and you're trying to get your husband killed. But, look, here's the thing. I've taught non-English speaking students before. You find a way to communicate. It may be through Google Translate. It may be through anything else you can find.
It ain't easy.
No, it's not.
But you got to find a way.
Right. So I'm not saying that the whole hitman thing is somebody trying to interject themselves into the investigation. I'm just saying you can't just say, well, that's horseshit story because she doesn't speak Spanish and he doesn't speak English. I guarantee you they both speak enough to communicate. Now, if we do take Rudy's story as truthful, this may not have been the first time that Terry had attempted to have Kane killed. Sean Rea, an ex-boyfriend of Terry's, came forward to say that he believed that Terry had hired a hitman to kill him back in 1990. On the day in question, Terry and Sean were having lunch in a park when they were approached by a man holding a gun. Terry allegedly got up and shouted to Sean, quote, "He's here for you." But the man lost his nerve and did not fire, deciding instead to run away. So if that is true, then she's got a history of trying to have her exes offed. O-F-T. Offed.
Offed.
So let's go back to yours. If it's not her, what happened? I'm with you. He was abducted. But here's my thing, man. In 2010, I understand we kind of just shit on the school system for not having people sign in. But it would be extremely difficult for him to have gone with someone other than a guardian that morning.
Yeah.
It lend a wondering mind to suspect of an employee at the school, a vendor of the school.
Well, think about this. How convenient would it be if you're just a random abductor that you picked out this day of all days to go to this school where you're able to get in without signing in? You just walk in, you pick out a kid, steal the kid, and it just so happened that you stole a kid who has a stepmother with documented grudges against said kid. And so you're a random kidnapper, and then all eyes are pointed at the fucking stepmom. You could be sitting there going, damn.
That's right.
I got lucky.
You'd be like,
surprise, motherfucker.
Small fries, motherfucker. Supplies, motherfucker. You ever seen that one?
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. If she didn't do it and she's innocent and the police have some sort of evidence that would exonerate her, then exonerate her and let's focus on the happenings of that day. Like you said, it's hard to believe that school didn't have security cameras. So, but it's not hard to believe. Let me back up. My son went to middle school 4 years ago. Okay. The entire time he was in middle school. So from 2019 to 2017 to 2019, they had one working security camera on the exterior of the building pointing down the bus line. That was it. The rest of the cameras were dummies, basically. They didn't have it wired correctly. They couldn't get the software to work. So I'm not saying that it is beyond any stretch of the imagination that a school doesn't have security cameras. I just think Portland would make sure, since it's a bigger town, city, it would have their shit together. May not have, so, but anyway.
I mean, they tried, dude. They got freaking 50 detectives on the scene. I mean, come on. They tried. You can't take that away from them.
No. I'm talking about the school district, not the police.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just don't. And I'm sure police have scoured the grounds. You know, they basically swept the school that the night he went missing and cleared it, turned over everything, got everywhere, opened everything up, and he was not there. The current state of the investigation is basically it's just treading water. Terry has been in trouble with the law since Kyron's disappearance. In 2016, she was arrested for driving a stolen car and for stealing a gun from her roommate. She decided that she wasn't done that year, and she was accused of domestic violence in 2016 by her partner, Joseph Cristobal. So for a man to call the cops and say she's beating the shit out of me means his mama raised him right, first of all, but second of all, he's done. So, again, she's not helping herself out. Now, in 2012,
not at all. Not at all.
In 2012, a Multnomah County Circuit Judge called Terry, quote, a prime suspect, but no concrete evidence linking her or anyone else to Kyron's disappearance has ever been found. The county sheriff's office stated it has received over 4,000 tips since Kyron's disappearance in 2010. And the spokesperson for the sheriff's office, Mr. Chris Lytle, said authorities continue to get 1 to 20 leads every month, and the case has 2 full-time detectives and an FBI agent assigned to it. Now, during their investigation, agents conducted DNA analysis of Kyron's toothbrush and uploaded his dental characteristics and x-rays to the National Missing and Unidentified Persons database, hoping for a match with one of the thousands of unidentified victims around the country. Police have also continued to release age-progressed photos of Kyron, and we'll post that flyer showing his different age progressions. Despite these efforts, there have been no further developments announced in the case. Nonetheless, his family has not given up hope that he might still be out there somewhere. On what would have been Kyron's 20th birthday on September 9th, 2022, his family hosted a car wash. All of the proceeds from that car wash went to the continued efforts to locate him. His mother, Desiree, also organized a rally outside the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office and called for a new task force to organize how to pursue, quote, no-body homicide prosecutions. During a news conference, Desiree spoke of the pain she still experiences. Quote, making the drive in for 12 years and pulling up to the school and knowing this was the last place Kyron was, I can't even explain the anguish and the heartache, end quote. Now, in a statement to the media, the County District Attorney Mike Schmidt wrote, quote, my heart goes out to Kyron's family and the dedicated and compassionate community they have built around his disappearance. To date, this case is open and we remain committed to investigating new facts and evidence should either surface, end quote. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Kyron Richard Horman, please contact the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office tip line at 503-988-0560. When Kyron was last seen, he was wearing a black CSI TV show t-shirt, black cargo pants, white socks, and what is described as very well-worn black Skechers that have orange trim. So, Coach, I know you kind of said it, but your final thoughts on this or a suspect?
Well, I hate to say it. I don't like to specifically point fingers at a person that's still alive and around and able to hear this if they really wanted to, but I really think you got to look deep into that stepmom. That's the only thing that really makes sense. Just the odds are the evidence, circumstantial evidence is definitely stacked against her. But at that same time, I mean, you did talk about the friend. We talked about her weird friend who was missing for a few hours at her job too. And we have neighbors that stated that they saw the stepmom arrive home with a duffel bag and a shovel, right?
Yeah, I saw that, and I couldn't ever find it again. It was like because a lot of these articles that I found, they're like half a page, and I had clicked on so many links. I thought I'd seen it, but I couldn't find it again. But yes, that was out there.
I mean, there's just so much circumstantial evidence stacked against her that, man, I really think that, I mean, she failed 2 polygraphs, which who cares about that?
It's the way she failed them, though, is my thing.
And she's documented that she doesn't like him. She tried to hire a hitman.
Not once, but twice.
She's missing for 90 minutes on that same day. There's witnesses that saw him leave with her. There's witnesses that saw her with a duffel bag and a shovel. There's a friend who's missing for a couple hours that day. There's just so much pointing towards her that I just think you got to look at her. You got to believe that she's got something to do with this.
Well,
but at the same time, she doesn't seem like a criminal mastermind to me, but there's no evidence linking. There's no real evidence linking her to it. There's no fingerprints. There's nothing. There's no blood in the car. There's no body to be found. There's nothing. I mean, somehow she pulled off a perfect crime.
I have no explanation.
Perfect in the manner that everyone knows she did it, but nobody can prove it, so she can just give them the bird finger.
Well, OJ did it.
Well, that's true, but she ain't got the star power OJ did. She was not in the 3 Naked Gun movies, brother.
No, I think this may be a case of the police. You know, here's another narcissistic thing, gaslighting thing that she said. Police or investigators have evidence that will exonerate me. Maybe she thinks they have evidence that will exonerate her, and what they actually have is evidence that will nail her ass to the wall if they get one more thing. If they can tie one more thing. And I'm not saying it's a body. I'm not, God forbid, you know, I would love for Kyron to be found tomorrow. Some dumbass had him holed up in a shed outside and has brainwashed him. That would be the best case scenario. But I really do believe deep down that authorities know that she may have had a hand in it. They have some evidence stating such, but they need that one final piece to nail her ass. And unfortunately, my gut's telling me that one final piece is going to come from his body or the site in which they find his body. I don't know, man. It's just, this case just, you know, with the Pitson case, we both kind of empathized with the mom about depression and stuff like that. This case, this lady, she didn't do herself any favors by putting that shit in emails. And it's we've heard it because we're in education, but always write your emails and any Zoom messages as if God himself will read it in a court of law one day.
Yep. CYA, brother.
Yeah. And so for her to send multiple emails to multiple people talking about how she didn't like Kyron, how she hated Kane because Kane kicked her son out just because Kyron didn't like him, which I think's horseshit too. But the other thing is telltale is she cannot be a very good person because despite what people will tell you, fathers do not get sole custody of infant children. There had to be some damning shit in that restraining order and that petition to the court for him to get.
Absolutely. But
I couldn't find any other theories. Basically, they've got he was abducted by stranger on stranger crime. Somebody walked in, snatched his ass up, or under the guise of, hey, can you help me get this out of my car? Then threw him in the car and they're long gone before anybody knows it, or the stepmama had something to do with it. But again, if you're interested, that video of her on Dr. Phil's out there. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there. So let us know what you think. These child ones are rough, man. But, you know, I don't know. I know that there's a huge problem in this country when it comes to missing children. A huge problem. But
yeah, don't dive too deep into it, man. Unless you really want to be depressed.
Yeah.
If you're sad and you're like, look, I really want to cry tonight, but I can't make myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
Start looking into missing kids and the circumstances behind some of them. And trust me.
And don't, if you have a warm beating heart in your chest, do not think that these monsters do not exist out there. Anyway, I'm going to give my recommendation first this time. It's a twofold recommendation. One, do not do an arm workout and then think that you're going to go fishing and the fish actually bite, because about the fourth fish that you set the hook on, your upper body and arms are like, hey, dumbass. And so then you have to stop fishing early.
You're damn near 60, so you got to stop early.
Damn, I wish I was damn near 60 some days. I'd be done. I could retire. But anyway.
Yeah, retirement age.
Yeah. The other recommendation is go back. If you have not watched the original Beverly Hills Cop in a long time, go back and watch it. Because
that's a great movie. That's a fucking great movie.
It is a great movie, but when I watched it last night, I was like, it's good. But, like, I put this movie on a pedestal, and it doesn't need to be up there. I like the second one better than I do the first one.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
I know.
You talking about the titty bar scene where he's just, like, dancing? He's like, hey, no bullshit this time. And he's like, hey, Philip, man, it's me, man. What's up, man?
That's the first one.
There's absolutely no way in three hells that number 2 is better than number 1.
The reason I like number 2,
entire ass.
The reason I like number 2 is because there's more. There's more of the chief.
In a few hours tomorrow, and you can kiss my entire ass.
There's more of the chief. His partner fucks up the Ferrari.
Yes, it's true.
And Serge is selling arms. He's selling those police tactical arms at that convention.
Okay, first of all, you're fucking wrong.
Is that the third one?
Surge that's part 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was 2.
You don't even fucking know the movie.
I thought Surge was selling arms in part 3, part 2, not part 3.
No, you don't even know the fucking movie. You're like, it's better. Number 2's better. You don't even fucking know. It's Serge. Tell her
Ahmed Foley's here. Axel. The name's Axel. Yeah. Axnell.
Ahmed. I can't believe it.
I know it. Get the fuck out of here. He goes, get the fuck out of here. I will not. I can't.
I will not. No, I cannot. You fuck. You don't even know the damn movies.
Oh, next you're going to try to tell me that you like Smokey and the Bandit 3 more than the original.
I ain't seen 2 or 3, but I watched part 1 the other day, and it's still fucking great. That's a good story. Like, when we coached football together, we'd come back from damn football games and watch fucking film of the game we just watched at damn 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, I mentioned to this coaching staff that I never saw Smokey and the Bandit. So at like 2:30 in the damn morning on a Friday night after coaching a football game, they forced me to watch Smokey and the Bandit for the first time.
And it was the greatest thing ever.
I didn't regret it. It cut into my drinking time, I'll be honest. It's kind of hard to explain to your wife at the time that, you're going to start drinking at 4 in the morning. But great movie. Great movie.
So what's your recommendation? Obviously, it's not going to be a Beverly Hills Cop 2 or 3.
I like 3. I honestly like 3 better than 2. I don't like 2. 2's okay.
All right, so Okay.
It's got Bridget Nielsen in it, who's a big Amazonian woman. That's she could dominate me. Yeah.
Cobra.
Yeah, she could dominate me if she wanted to. I would let her. Anyway, I got two of them. Both of them are YouTube. Both of them are about
Kyron.
The case we covered tonight. Kyron Horman. I want you to look up Rob Gavon, who used to be Rob Dyke. Gavon, Gavagan.
He's very good.
About a month ago, 2 months ago, he did one on Kyron Horman. Very good. It's probably about 17 minutes long. And then the Kyron Horman on That Chapter.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a few years ago, but it's about 30 minutes long.
He does a phenomenal job, too.
Both of them do a phenomenal job, and it will give you a lot more not a lot more details, but it will cover what we covered, but it will have visuals and production value and stuff like that. So I recommend those two to watch about the case we covered tonight.
Well, Coach, you got anything else for the listeners out there in podcast land?
I sure don't. You know I don't.
Deuces.